Tom. It's not the smartest guys in the room. Tom's looking good today. He does not have a sweatshirt on. The topic of the day is it time to niche down? Tom, niche is a weird word just to let you know. Like everybody says, so many people say niche, niche. So, Tom, how you been, my man?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'm doing well. Yeah, I think I hear a lot of people say niche, and I've always heard it pronounced niche. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always gone with the niche pronunciation. But yeah, is it time to niche down? You want me to launch into it? Are you ready? Give me a thumbs up if you want me to just go to town. All right, here we go.
Yeah, let's go. What do you got, Tom? What do you
All
got?
right. Yeah. Is it time to niche down? Broadly speaking, no, I don't think so at all. So I think this was like, God, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. This was like maybe even a little bit more than 3 or 4, maybe more like 5 years ago. This was like a big thing, right? I kept hearing everywhere. People were going, oh, you got to niche down. You got to niche down. You got to get super specific. And I think that might be true in certain circumstances. Like I'll give you an example. I think it might be true that you really have to niche down, or you really should niche down if, say, you have a product, right? If you make a product, a specialty product, for example, that might be a time where you really want to niche down. You want to get super specific about who the product's for, how they use it, why it makes sense for them, all of those kinds of things, right? But if you're in a service business like me, right, and a creative service business at that, then niching down is a terrible idea, I think, right? Like, because, and I'll give you 2 reasons why I think it's a terrible idea. One, I think it's a terrible idea because it creates circumstances where you almost by default end up underserving your clients and undercutting your own creative work. What I mean by that is, from my perspective, when you work in a creative field, as I do, what ends up happening is you are sort of constantly challenged to flex and adapt and build and grow your creative muscles by the different problems that are thrown at you from the different businesses and organizations that you work with, right? So I work with a variety of organizations in a variety of verticals, right? Everybody from huge multi-billion-dollar global organizations down to local healthcare nonprofits, right? And all kinds of different things in between. So I work with this wide range of different organizations. And that means that I'm solving different problems for each one with different audiences, with different scales of problems, and all these other variables that play in. And that means that I'm constantly being challenged to come up with creative solutions to these problems, right? It makes me better at what I do. It also means that my clients get the best work possible out of me. Now, if I take my work and I apply it to one kind of client, so say home improvement contractors, right? Let's say I decide I'm going to become the video guy for home improvement contractors, right? Well, then guess what's going to happen? All the home improvement contractors that I work with are all solving relatively similar problems in their communications, right? There's a lot of crossover. So what they're going to end up with is they're all going to end up with relatively similar looking content, right? And so you end up with this whole group, this whole industry where nobody's really standing out. Everybody's kind of blending together because I'm doing all the content for all of them, and they all look pretty much the same. So I'm underserving my clients, right? And then because I'm just rinsing and repeating the same stuff over and over again, I'm not working those muscles. I'm not challenging myself, right? I'm being intellectually and creatively lazy. And that means that I'm not continuing to improve, to get better, to come up with better solutions. And so I'm not growing as an individual or a business either, right? And so it's actually bad for my business, and it's bad for my client's business to overly niche down, right? For me as a creative service provider. So while there are instances where I agree it's important to niche down, I think it has been completely overblown. And I don't think it's actually a good idea for a lot of businesses. And And then the last thing I'll say is this: at the end of the day, the one thing that I would take away from niching down is be specific about who your ideal client is as a business, right? That's one place where you should be specific. And by being specific, what I mean is build an archetype, right? So don't say, my ideal client is the CEO at this kind of company, right? I'm not talking about that, right? I'm saying, broadly speaking, my ideal clients are businesses in the sort of 10 to 50 million dollar range who feel stagnated, who are looking to grow their audiences, who are looking to sort of leap to the next stage of growth for their brand or their business, who want to improve their brand reputation, their brand image, who want to grow audience, like those, that's my ideal client, right? So I'm clear about who my ideal client is, right? And that's where it's important to sort of niche down, I guess, so to speak, right? But really, it's just being specific. But I think niching down is overblown. It's much to do about actually probably a bad idea in a lot of cases. And I feel like it sort of falls into the same category, to my way of thinking, as a lot of like the hacks and like the 10x and like all of that crap that like doesn't really work, right? But sounds catchy, right? That doesn't really deliver on its promise, but sounds great at the time. So yeah, so I don't know. That's where my head's at with niching down. That's what I was thinking about when we were talking about the topic for today in advance of the show. So what do you think of that, Dom?
You caught me by surprise, Tom. I was thinking when it came to niching down that you would go the other direction and be like, yes, I'm in video and that's what I do, but I understand what you're saying as far as how you do it and who you work with. And I finished reading the book Good to Great recently, and they had these Venn diagrams in there. And one of the things was it was like, what can you be the best at? What are you passionate about? And where can you make a living and do well? And it was like in a business, if you can find that place in the middle of that Venn diagram where you're passionate, you're good at it, you can make money at it, you can be the best at it. So for my business, I've tried to figure out, okay, like let's say my business is called Motivation Champs. I am a publisher of books. But really, over the course of time, the niche down is figuring out what the broad scope is. And for me, it's stories that elevate humanity. So they are all stories that uplift, they are all stories that make a difference. Any way I can help share that story, any way I can help tell that story, help other people share that story. So, like us being here on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, it is that. You know, we talk to business owners and storytellers and help them have a better business, help them tell a better story. So, I try to live in that world. And so, what's that overcompassing message, the umbrella that uh, covers it all? That is, I niche down within that umbrella. So let's see what Madison and Brian Swift have to say. So, and anybody else want to come up? We got a lot going on today. We got niching down. We have new PSA announcements. We have Tom's thumbs. We have memory lane. So we got a lot to do. So Madison, not the smartest guys in the room. Is it time to niche down? What are your thoughts on this?
I think that this is a really interesting conversation, and maybe it looks different for people at different stages of their career. Um, and like Dom and I have talked a lot about the pillars of your business, and as long as you have these core values, everything that you accomplish with your business or your skills, um, all of those things should fall, under the umbrella that is held up by your pillars. And I think that I'm still sort of trying to find out my pillars, but I thought that was a really useful just way perspective of looking at, my business as not like only an extension of my skills, but also who I am as a person, and what I'm trying to do with my business. So I think I still have a lot to think about in that area before I can think about niching down, and maybe someone has some advice, but that would be my 2 cents at this point.
Madison, good job. And Tom, what do you think about her making me sound smart with her referencing me and her talking about pillars of a business?
I mean, I think it makes a ton of sense. And again, I think being clear about who you are, what you do, and who you serve is important. But that's not, to me, that is not what niching down is, right? Niching down to me is being ultra focused on serving one very particular client with one very particular solution, right? That is niching down, right? And I don't think it's a good idea. But the pillars of a business, right, I think is a great thing to talk about. I think it's really important to know who you are, and at the end of the day, the sort of adage comes to mind, right, that if you try to be all things for all people, you end up being nothing for nobody. And I 100% agree with that. Like, you have to accept, like I've said on here a million times, right? Like, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And I'm fine with that. I know that my solution, the solution that Talex Media provides is not the solution that everyone needs, right? Some people don't need my help, right? That's fine. That's great. I'm not going to try to work with those people, but there are a lot of people that would benefit from working with me or a business like mine. And so I'm going to keep trying to go after working with those people to help them. And that's a broad range of different businesses and different verticals that serve different communities, that solve different problems for people. And at the end of the day, they all need to communicate with their audiences, and that's where I can help, right? So I think being specific about who you are and what your values are, and who your ideal client is fantastic. But I wouldn't call that niching down. I think that's just being clear about your business.
Good stuff. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Madison. Brian Swift, niching down, is it a waste of time? Something you do? Too broad of a topic? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think it's kind of one of those flavor of the days, when people are out there trying to find a phrase that separates them. Niching down is not new. It's not this revolutionary idea. It's what people have done for hundreds of years. Know your client and know who you want to serve. But, to Tom's point, you don't want to niche down to a point where you cut your own legs out. Like you said, you wanted, you will publish anything that inspires, motivates, whatnot. But if somebody came to you with a book that wasn't motivational, wasn't inspiring, maybe a nonfiction, maybe it was a fiction book, my guess is you wouldn't turn down that opportunity. You know what I mean? And to Tom's point, as long as it fit into your moral compass and didn't, have any major offense, you would take it and help that person publish, this was their dream book. So you don't want to niche down to a point where you cut your legs out by not being open to other opportunities, because all of us don't know what we don't know. We don't know what sector of clients we may be able to serve that we didn't even think of, or is new because of technology, is new because of the way our country's gone. So I'm all for understanding your niche, but I think there's some people that overdo it and they end up kind of cutting their legs out from under them. I'm complete.
Hey, thank you, Brian. And Brian, to Brian's credit, he was one of the people that talked to me early on when I was like 100%. This had to be, how is this motivational? And to the growth was, well, now it's stories that make you think. Stories, and that's where I came to the elevated humanity. It has to make a difference. It has to make you think. It has to make you the world better in some way. At the end of the day, challenge you to think a little bit. And it was Brian encouraging me to, hey, Dom, what if somebody's sharing their story? They're telling their life story. They have this is a goal they always wanted to accomplish. So I've grown a little in my thought process of what that means to elevate and make a difference. So yeah, because I mean, hey, if you get too niche, you like Tom and Brian both said, you may leave yourself with no customers. So go on. And I had my friend Justin, who's a peanut butter maven. He told me one time, if you're too niche, you might not even be able to do the things you want to do because you haven't built the business that allows you to do the things that you want to do. So you better make sure that that's part of the process. Okay, Dr. Tachi, we're coming, but first we have new PSA announcements. Me and Tom got less than 30 seconds each. 30 seconds, Tom, does that sound good? Can we do it in 30 seconds to give a PSA on something we're thinking about?
Yeah, I think so. Just keep it short and sweet. Just something that comes to mind from recent events or days or whatever. Just something we want to announce, let people know.
Okay, so I see a clock in the corner here. Actually, it says 16:15 right now, so I will go. My daughter went to the mall. Her and my wife went to the mall. They went to H&M. At H&M, she brought a skirt. She brought a sweatshirt. However much that cost, I don't know. They get up there. H&M says after they complete the transaction, do you want to buy a bag for 10 cents? So what is she supposed to take her stuff out with no bag? Come on, H&M. You can't give my daughter a 10-cent bag. Down on that PSA. That's what I got, Tom.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, look, it should be right up front. Maybe there should be a sign at the register or something like that. I think it's surprising, right? Because obviously for grocery stores, we've all become accustomed to it. But I think if other stores are going to follow suit, and I don't necessarily have an issue with it, right? But I think you need to know, like, you don't want to end up with like a big pile of clothes and then like what, like you don't want to buy a bag, or the way they tell you kind of like rankles you, right? And so on principle, you're like, I'm not doing it. And then you're walking around the mall or whatever for the rest of the time you're there looking like you just are carrying around a load of laundry with you because you got a bunch of clothes draped over your arm. I mean, it seems like they didn't handle it well, right? Like, again, in principle, I have no issue with like them either selling bags or kind of encouraging you to bring your own bag, use a reusable bag. That's fine with me. I think that's a good idea. But at the end of the day, like, they got to let people know that that's what they're doing. It can't be like a surprise at the register kind of thing. I think that's a bad way to do it. So I don't know. That's what I think.
Okay, so now back to you, Tom. Does Tom have a PSA for us today? You got 30 seconds to give us your PSA.
Yeah, here we go. All right. So my PSA is, if you tailgate me, I will not speed up. I don't care how close you get. I don't care if you flash your high beams at me. If you tailgate me, I am not going to accelerate, right? In fact, what I will do sometimes, it depends, right? I will never brake check you because that's not safe. It's also illegal and a bad idea. Don't do that, right? I'm not going to brake check you, but I might just take my foot off the gas, right? I might just let my car coast a little bit and slowly let off a little bit of speed, right? I might slow down a hair doing that, and I might just maintain that speed, and I might make sure that you can't pass me if you're going to be a jerk and tailgate me and flash your lights. So just a PSA for everybody out there, tailgating me and flashing your lights at me is a terrible way to try to get around me. That's all I got.
Okay, that's fair, but I have one question on this. What lane are you in? Like, my son drives in the left-hand lane and he'll be driving faster than the speed limit, but he won't get over. Somebody's telling him, come on, man, if you're in the fast lane, you got to get over if somebody's telling you. Who do you think you are, Tom?
If I'm doing 10 miles an hour over the speed limit in the left lane, actively passing someone, I am not going to accelerate when you come up behind me and start flashing your lights and tailgating me. Just not going to do it. I'm already speeding, right? I'm already passing, which is what the left lane is for. I will get over at the next opportunity, but I'm not going to hit the gas to get over faster just because you're in a rush. Your rush is not my problem.
There's a saying in business, poor planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. And so, okay, fair enough. Those were the PSAs. First time, 2 PSAs. All right, well done. not the smartest guys in the room. We appreciate all you for being here. We'll be back next week too, but we got more work to do today. We still got a Tom's Thumbs. We got a memory lane. We got to talk about niching down. So Dr. Tachi, Trisha, we're coming. Niching down, Dr. Tachi. Should you? Is it just something people like to say? Is it killing your business? What's your thoughts on it? Teach us.
I'll try and teach. Good morning. So we've all heard that saying that if everybody is your customer, nobody is your customer, or if you serve everyone, you serve no one. That's why you need to niche. But I think it's understanding who is in that niche and who would be benefited by you niching down, because it's not just for you. It's also for the customers. And as everybody has said, I echo that if it's too niche, you niche yourself right out of a job, right, and out of business. But I think though a couple of things, a couple of examples. So for example, degrees that are too niche. Here's some examples where it doesn't work. So these schools, let's be honest, they want to make money, and so they're going to say to you, yes, of course you can do your dissertation on underwater basket weaving, we'll help you. That's way too niche and not even necessarily needed, but because you think in your head that you need this degree or a doctorate in order to XYZ without doing the research, you go for the nicheification of something that doesn't need to be niched. So that's one example. And then this summer, also, I think I told you all that I was part of a cohort from Pharrell Williams Fundable Founders, so part of the Black Ambition thing. And they were talking about this whole concept of niching. So it's interesting that you bring that up now. This whole concept of who's your customer and niching down and whether or not you should niche. So it made me think about that because I was like, we talked about that this summer in Fundable Founders, and one of the people that came, they had business owners and founders who came to speak to us, and one of them was the founder of Hairbrella, who was a woman who started a company that has swim caps and shower caps and things and rain headgear for people with braids and locks, so it's larger and it fits and things don't get wet. So I asked her, who was your surprise customer? And she said, older white women. I said, wow, and I never would have thought about that. So by her niching down, she also did have a secondary audience. So you may have a niche, but then there are other people outside of that niche that are going to say, you know what, that could work for me too. I'm going to do that. So sometimes when you niche down, you also do serve a wider base. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I like that, Dr. Tachi. And I think, from my perspective, I don't know. The way I hear you talk about it, maybe I have niched down to some extent, right? Like maybe I am niche. I just haven't thought about it that way because to my way of thinking, niching down meant you solved one problem for one very specific customer. And I don't just solve one problem, right? And I don't work with only one kind of customer, right? I have sort of an ideal customer archetype. But, like I said earlier, I think before you got in the room today, I work with organizations, everything from, multi-billion-dollar global organizations to small local healthcare nonprofits, right? That serve the local community. So I solve a specific problem, i.e. a communications problem, right, for clients, but there's a wide variety of clientele that need the solutions that I provide. And so I try to be specific about how I help people and the kinds of problems that I solve and the way that I do the work that I do, and even to some extent who I do it for, but I don't try to limit it the way that I kind of perceive niching down as being, right? Like it feels like you're limiting, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, right? So sort of like the example I talked about before with, being the video guy for home improvement contractors, like that is overly niching down. But I think that's how a lot of people think about it, that's how it was kind of pitched to me, was like, oh, you should pick a vertical and then just be the video guy for that vertical. I've literally had someone tell me that. And I think that's a terrible idea. I actually know a company, they used an example company. They said, oh, there's this company, they're killing it. They're like the video company for manufacturers in sort of like southern tier of New York State. And guess what? That company doesn't exist anymore. They went out of business. That video production company that was the video production company for manufacturers in the southern tier of New York. Yeah, they're not around anymore because they lost a couple of clients and they just couldn't recover. So anyway, that's kind of how I've thought of niching down historically. But I appreciate what you brought to it. Maybe I am niched to some extent. I'm just not hyper niched. And that's probably a good thing, I think, in my estimation. What do you think, Dom?
Tom, I think this is a good way to think about it. You might be niche that you do video or production, but you are not niche in who you work with. I might be niche that I consider it uplifting humanity, but who I work with or where I'll take that, I might take it to a graphic novel, I might take it to a children's book, it could be a memoir, but to me the niche is, well, I'm saying has to do the world some greater good. But somebody would say, well, that's not niche, or it is niche. I don't know. So let's see what Trisha, you're up, and then what say you on niche, and then we got a Tom Stums coming here. So Tom Stums after Trisha, thoughts on niche? Yes, no, good, bad. What do you got?
Okay. Yes, no. I think that you can niche down too far and you can really damage your business. For example, I could share with you, I am a registered nurse. I could have stayed in the healthcare field. People think nursing, they think automatically that you're taking care of somebody's health. And as I grew in my nursing career, there's a part of healthcare that's a business aspect of healthcare. And I went into business administration. And that caused me to explore every other aspect of healthcare. So it caused me to go into taking care of people's business. And now I do business consulting and I do other things in business. So it totally caused me to reach out to different areas of business instead of just staying in healthcare and taking care of people's health. So that's just a perfect example of how I reached out and I can do other things for people and solve problems for people in other ways. So that's just an example of how you can probably not niche down so much and get stuck in a rut of just taking care of simple things one way for people. Just my example.
Thank you, Trisha. That sounds like being open to opportunities very closely tied to, like, you're in healthcare and you see, well, here's some opportunities very close. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. So I get it. I think that's good advice to all of us. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. It is time for Tom Stums. That's where we ask Tom something going on in pop culture, media, whatever, and he has to give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. He's been on a streak of positivity lately. Now that he's a dad, he's holding his thumb out, and what we're wondering which way it will go. So, Tom, I want to know. It's the first week of November when we are recording, filming today. What do you think about houses and stores decorating for Christmas and the holiday season already?
So I think everybody has their own traditions, right, when it comes to sort of decorating for the holidays. And obviously, growing up in, a Catholic household, obviously we celebrated Christmas. And my wife also comes from, I guess, a Christian background, although her family was less religious than mine, and neither one of us is a practicing practices any religion now. So, but we celebrate Christmas, right? Sort of more for tradition than anything else, right? But so around that, I think every family has their own traditions, right? And we used to go when I was a kid growing up. We would go the weekend after Thanksgiving literally, we would usually go out of town for Thanksgiving. We'd go down to my my aunt and uncle's and cousin's house, and we'd all spend Thanksgiving there together. And then the next week, we would go. So usually, like the first weekend in December, we would go get our Christmas tree, right? And then we would put it up. So for us, like the tradition was always like the tree went up, the decorations went up kind of the same weekend, and it was the weekend after Thanksgiving, right? That was when it kind of all got put up. I recently, actually last weekend, I was at an event, a party on Saturday, and somebody was talking about somebody they knew had already put up their Christmas tree before Halloween. Right, they had actually put it up. This was like the day after Halloween, but they knew somebody who had put up their tree before Halloween, and all of that, right? Putting up your tree before Halloween, putting it up, you know, when you're still in October, putting it up at the beginning, the first week of November, putting up those holiday decorations that early, to me, gets a thumbs down, right? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think, fine, if you want to decorate for the season, okay, right? Like if you want to put up some like fall themed decorations or whatever, fine with me, right? Like you want to put some like whatever, like people will do that, but we've got a big sort of national holiday coming up first, right? In Thanksgiving, coming up this month, and then next month is Christmas, right? So like get through Thanksgiving first. Let's do one holiday at a time, right? Like you're not going to start putting up you know, things for like, you know, the 4th of July before we get through Memorial Day, right? Like you're not going to like it's crazy to me. Like when are you going to start decorating for Easter, like at Thanksgiving? Like what are we doing? Right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go from like decoration theme to decoration theme. It's like almost like people are treating the front of their house as like their tablescapes, which is an awful term. I hate that term, but like, you know, like your house is not a tablescape. You don't have to have it made up, right, for every different event or holiday or season all the time. Sometimes it's okay to not be decorated for something, right? So like I don't know what it is, if it's they feel like it's social pressure or like, you know, keeping up with the Joneses because somebody else in their neighborhood has decorations up early or like their friend does or what's going on. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But at the end of the day, like just wait, at least until it's that month, right? Like if you're going to decorate for Christmas, wait until like after Thanksgiving, right? Like until you're a month away from that holiday, right? And like if you're going to decorate for the 4th of July, wait until like the beginning of June to do it, right? Don't start decorating for the 4th of July in like May, right? So like I don't have any problem with people decorating their homes or celebrating holidays, obviously. Like that's great, especially because a lot of these, you know, these holidays revolve around family and friends and good times and happiness and positivity. Like I'm all for that. But like slow your roll with the decorations, like one holiday at a time. Like let's get through the next holiday before we start decorating for the one after. That's all I think. So like you're decorating too early. If you're decorating for Christmas now, you get a thumbs down from me.
We want to know. Put it in the comments. Who agrees with Tom decorating too early? Tom, I like your one holiday at a time premise. Let's appreciate each one. So I appreciate that. But you want to know something I like that I see from time to time. I see people put up a Christmas tree and early, but it'll have like pumpkins on it and it'll have like turkeys hanging from it. And then the tree is the basis of all these things that then get decorated around the holiday season. So I kind of dig that. It's creative.
I mean, like, look, like I like lights on houses. Like, I think they often look good. Like, if people do them well, like, but like, you know, it's still fall. Like, you put up instead of like the traditional like red and white, like sort of Christmas lights, like, or green and red and white. Like, how about like, you know, getting an LED strand where you can change the colors, like some RGB lights, right? And like put up like orange lights, right? Like because it's fall. Right. I think at some point, like, are we going to start? It's sort of like they start with back to school in like July now, right? Like they start selling Halloween candy and putting that stuff out in the beginning of September, right? Like there's Easter stuff up as soon as we get through Christmas. Like it's kind of getting ridiculous, and it's almost like it's available to purchase, and so people are just buying it and putting it up on their houses. It's almost like we're just kind of developing these bad habits because retailers have decided to start pushing stuff at us earlier and earlier. Like there's already Black Friday sales out. Like what are we doing? I was getting ads for Black Friday sales in October. Like Black Friday's a day, right? It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. That is Black Friday, right? Like why am I getting, it's not Black Friday in October. Like that's just another sale. Like what are you doing? It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It all gets a thumbs down. Bah humbug.
There you go. What a finish. Bah humbug, thumbs down. Trisha says the kids just got a summer vacation and back to school, and now it's already Black Friday. Tasha says took my Halloween decorations down on Monday, and now my Thanksgiving decorations are up. A couple people say it's too darn early, so here we go. Okay, no, go on, Tom. What?
Well, I was just gonna say, and Tesha, that sounds completely appropriate to me. Like that gets a thumbs up, right? If you want to decorate for Thanksgiving in November, great. Decorate for Thanksgiving. Like that makes sense. But like don't decorate for Christmas now. Like are you just skipping Thanksgiving? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, give Thanksgiving some love. Come on, that's what we need a campaign. Thanksgiving needs some love. I want to be like a turkey with a sad face. A turkey's dream in life. A turkey's dream in life is to be on a Thanksgiving table. So give that turkey a chance, and let's celebrate Thanksgiving. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. It's time to niche down. Julie, what say you on the subject? We are talking niching down. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it limit your business? Can you be too broad that you're not good at anything and people wonder what the hell you do? So, Julie, what say you? What do you think about Tom giving thumbs up and thumbs down? What's up?
First of all, I was just talking to my husband because he does a lot of decorating outside. And I said, we should just get those lights that you can change colors that, for every holiday. So we don't have to put up new decorations every year. Do you know those? I don't know if you guys decorate.
Yeah, of course we know.
Well, I don't know, but there is nothing really to decorate for Thanksgiving. So there's a long wait before Christmas. But we saw our neighbors already had that, you rent crews to put on the lights on the top. Do you have that in your neighborhoods? Like people don't do their own lights anymore? Do you have that in your neighborhoods?
I have seen that. Yeah, I've definitely seen that phenomenon where there are businesses that go around and do the decorations for people. Yeah.
So we had that on Sunday.
Tree company was doing that 30 years ago. Where they got big bucket trucks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so we had that this weekend, but unfortunately ice is out in great forces here in Chicago. So we saw these guys on the roof and they're like hiding from ice. And I'm not even making light of it. It's like a serious thing here in Chicago. So
now,
just a side note.
Just a side note on your side note, Julie.
Yeah.
A hiding spot on somebody's roof may be the worst hiding spot ever. If you're hiding, don't hide on somebody's roof. Okay.
No, I was like, I knew they were trying to hide on the roof. But that being said, there's niches, there's riches in the niches, right? So just from my experience, and I just said right, like Tom, right? So there are riches in the niches. From my experience, I've done niches and I've done broad. And if I'm talking about the two podcasts, Creative Entrepreneur and Get Obsessed is broad in general. Creative Entrepreneur is niche, and right out of the gates, Creative Entrepreneur, boom, 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 advertiser, sponsor. And I didn't even do anything, but it was really easy. I think you can get a higher premium if you do anything with that's more niche. I don't know how do we even say that, niche. And another thing, if you think about it, you're going out to dinner. Are you choosing a Cheesecake Factory or something like? And I don't like. I couldn't even really think of something. Because I wouldn't even choose an Olive Garden or that like Italian Olive Garden, Italian restaurant, or an Asian restaurant? Are you going to the more niche restaurant? Or are you picking like the Cheesecake Factory? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Don't know if I made sense, but I think to understand exactly what your talent is. So I lean more towards the niche or the niche, if you will. And I land my plane there.
Niche. Okay, hold on. Dr. Tachi, as a professor, we
Who's giving me a thumbs down? Tasha's
oh,
giving me a thumbs
somebody gave me
down.
a thumbs down. I want to know, Dr. Tachi, is it niche? Is it niche? What is the correct pronunciation? So when we replay, I'll
But I just
dub.
want to say riches and the niches. That's why I
Yeah,
just
there you go.
yeah.
You could be right. Go on. Dr. Tachi, what do you got? And Madison's an editing expert as well, so she can weigh in on that. Madison, you got a correct
Madison
pronunciation?
says niche like quiche. She put that in the.
Niche like quiche. Okay, niche like quiche.
So riches like niches.
Okay, niche
The
it is. So go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's. I think the correct pronunciation is niche because there's an e after it, like quiche, right? Like if it was just, if there was no e after, it would be the hard ch sound, which would be the niche, right? Or even a tch sound, right? Niche. But because there's an e after it, it's the soft ch, so it's niche. I think that's right, but I don't know. What do you think, Dom?
Well, I'm going to get serious here. So quick goof for the round, you guys. I want to go serious on the idea of the people that don't niche down at all being the jack of all trades, master of none. So many people out there every week this week they're into finance, the next week they're selling me insurance, the next week they're teaching me
Talked
about
about this, Dom, like yesterday, didn't we?
the next week they're teaching me about Bitcoin. Like, how do you know about Bitcoin when a month ago you were selling weight loss products? So I really struggle with those kind of entrepreneurs that seem to be jumping real fast onto the next craze. So what about master of none, Tom?
Well, I mean, what it sounds to me like, it's not so much that they need to niche down, it's that they need to stop chasing trends, right? Like, it sounds to me like they're running on that hamster wheel of chasing trends, and they're just trying to hop on the next thing to make money, right? They think like, oh, there's money in crypto, I'm going to try to sell crypto. Oh, there's money in this, I'm going to try to do that. Oh, there's money in this, I'm going to try to do that. And like, the truth is, if you are finding out about it, right, as a member of the public, not somebody who's inside that industry, if you're finding out about it generally, that there's opportunity in those spaces, then the odds are good that you're already too late, right? It's like chasing a trend on social media. If you see the trend because other people are participating in the trend, you are too late hopping on that trend, right? So like, people who were like, oh, like I see all these shows popping up about flipping houses, and it seems like people are making all this money flipping houses. I'm going to go flip houses. Guess what, buddy? You're too late. You missed the boat, right? Like you can't. So like, that's what I would say to those people. Like, you stop trying to do what everybody else is doing and figure out what you actually want to do and what you're actually good at and focus in on that, right? But I don't think that's really about being niche. I think that's about just being honest about what your interest in your area of expertise is. So yeah, I mean, I also don't think there's anything wrong with being a bit of a generalist, right? Like, I think there's value in being a bit of a generalist. Like, I have a specific expertise, but I have a lot of knowledge about a variety of businesses and the way a variety of businesses function because I work with a variety of businesses and I work with a variety of industries, right? So like, I'm a bit of a generalist, but I have a specific expertise, and I think that's okay. So yeah. So I don't know. I mean, Julie, you wanted to hop in with? I
agree with you, but what I see is these coaches or speaker, they really don't know what they're good at or who their audience is. So they just like bounce around. So that's just one thing I'm thinking of in general.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's like, I think it's important. If you're a coach, I think you need to know who you're serving, right? And how you help them. but that could, you know, it could be, you know, like I'm a coach and I'm particularly good at helping, you know, men in their 40s, transition into their next phase of life, right? Like who like their kids are going off to college, right? Like, you know, they're you know, becoming you know, leaders in their workplaces, whatever the case may be. Like maybe that's, but it's broad in the sense that it's men in their 40s who I serve. So it doesn't really matter what business they're in, right? They could be doctors or lawyers or whatever, right? Or electricians, right? Or entrepreneurs. Like it doesn't matter. Most men kind of go through similar phases in their lives, right? Like there are similarities that we all have, and so like you can service people, you can serve. I shouldn't say service people. That came out wrong. That's not what I meant. That's not how I meant to say that. I just felt gross saying it that way. But like you can have a broad constituency, or a general constituency that shares some commonalities, you know, because of who they are in culture and society, those kinds of things. So yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, but yeah, you're no good as a coach if you don't know who your clientele is, and how you help them, right? I think that's like step one, right? If you're going to be a coach, like who's your clientele and how do you help them, right? And if you can't answer those questions well, then like maybe you should look for a different career path. I don't know. But before I get too caught up in that diatribe and say something else unintentionally gross, why don't we shift gears and take a walk down memory lane with Dom?
All
What do you
right,
say?
we're rolling today. We had PSAs, we had Tom's Thumbs, and now it's time for memory lane. Okay, so I'm just going to take you back to a time I was in college. I lasted at my first school for about one day, and I transferred to another school. So I was kind of down in the dumps a little bit, and I I was working for my dad, and I bought myself a '86 Chevy Blazer. This was in like '98. I bought an '86 Chevy Blazer. It was cost me about, I think it was 58 or 6,800 bucks. Bought it. I put rims on it. I had tinted windows. I loved my '86 Chevy Blazer. And then one time, a kid I knew around the same time got a brand new car that his parents bought him. And I was a little jealous of this car that my friend's parents got him. Yeah, and I'm like, well, so one day after my dad had a tough day at work, I was telling him about my thoughts about this kid's car is nicer than mine and it's newer than mine. But a week before, I loved my car, I had the rims, had the tint. And my dad said to me, sometimes he blue collar, he was working, he didn't always want to hear my shit. He said, Dominic, how the F does that affect you? How the F does what somebody else has affect you? And dad was right, and I appreciate it. Here I was. I loved my '86 Blazer. I'm going to show you a picture. This was my '86 Chevy Blazer. You look at those, it had rims on it, it had tinted windows, I had ground effects on it. I wish I had that car today. But for some reason, somebody else had that I didn't even want. I had big speakers in the back of it, everything. It was perfect. Love it. But something somebody else had made me jealous, made me feel inferior, made me feel self-doubt. And my dad corrected it by saying, Dominic, how the F does that affect you? So that's what I got. Memory lane is some straight talk about my Chevy Blazer from dad. So there you go, Tom.
Nice. That actually, so I actually made some extra money on the side in high school installing audio systems in people's cars for them. I kind of figured it out. It wasn't rocket science, right? I kind of figured out how to do it, and I was cheaper than going to a speaker shop to get your system installed. So I did it for a whole bunch of people in high school, like put systems in their cars, and made some good side money doing it. So yeah, I've installed everything from head units to GPS units to multiple amp systems to subwoofers with capacitors and the whole 9 yards. But yeah, it was. I appreciate that, because it was one of those things. Like I had a number of Jeep Cherokees. I've had 4 of them over the years. The old style Jeep Cherokees. The most recent one I had was an '01. It was the last year that they made them, and I sold it a few years ago. I kind of thought I was going to keep that car forever, and I sold it a few years ago. I'm sort of glad I did. I kind of wish I still had it. There was some sentimental value attached to that car. That was I bought that car right around the time when Becky and I first got together, and then we did a cross country road trip in that car from Alaska all the way back to New York, towing a little travel trailer. So we had some memories in that car, but we sold both of them. We sold the trailer and we sold the car. But it is what it is. Like, but I appreciate that. And it reminds me of a conversation I had. So when I was in high school, I had the first car that I ever had in high school was a hand-me-down from my mom, and it was a 1986 Pontiac 6000 LE station wagon. And it had that jump seat in the back facing backwards, right? And then it also had the fake wood paneling decals on the side. So some of my friends in high school nicknamed it the Shaggin' Wagon, because of the fake wood paneling on the sides and everything. And it was right around, I feel like it was right around the time of Austin Powers as well. So it was like that kind of like, it was that sort of that was the inspiration for it. But I remember after football practice one day, we were walking down to the parking lot. I was a sophomore in high school. I had just got my license. I was driving this Pontiac station wagon. We're walking down to the parking lot, and this guy Ken asked me which car was mine, and I pointed out the Pontiac, the station wagon, the Shaggin' Wagon, and he goes, what is that? He's like, what? He's like, that piece of shit. That's your car, right? And he had like an Oldsmobile. I'm trying to think of what it was. It was the Oldsmobile version of the Blazer. You remember what I'm talking? Was it like the Bravia or something like that?
That's the car my buddy had. We're both jealous of Bravadas for some reason. Go on.
Yeah. So it was like the Oldsmobile like version of the Blazer, but it was nicer, and it was practically a brand new car. It was like a year old or something like that at that time. And his parents had obviously bought it for him, and he said he started making fun of me for driving an old kind of shitty station wagon, and it had some dings and some dents and scratches and stuff on it. And so he said that to me, and I just turned around and I said, "Sorry, Ken, but we can't all be rich assholes like you." And and it just flew out of my mouth like before, without even thinking about it. And this guy was a senior and I was a sophomore. And one of the guys that was with him just turned around and pointed at him and started laughing. It was like, "He burned you." And yeah, it was pretty funny, but it reminded me of that story, that idea of like, how does what they have or what they're doing like affect you, right? Yeah, that was kind of my response to somebody trying to make me feel less than because my parents didn't have as much money as his parents. So yeah. Anyway, that it made me think of that story, so I just wanted to share that real quick.
Good stuff. Nobody should be making somebody feel less than. If you are, you're a jerk. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. Dave and Eric, we're coming to you guys. We're talking about niching down today. Should you? Is it good? Is it right? Is it limiting, or is it how to make money? So Dave, you're up first, and then we're going to Eric, and then a wrap up for Tom. So come on, Dave.
Yeah, hey guys. It has been a while. I've actually was able to get off work early enough to be able to catch the not as smartest guys in the room. So glad to be here. Yeah, I think niching down is like you got to know what's your target audience, who you're speaking to, and who you can solve a problem for. So this is where I've been niching down a lot recently. I work a lot with ADHD men, but I've gotten even more specific of like, ADHD men and they're like between 25 and 45, men that are feeling kind of lost in life, started a school community and found it way more effective when I get down to that specific group that I'm helping to serve. Like I can't serve everyone, I can't help everyone, but I can help those who most relate to the problems and struggles that I've gone through, and to give them the solutions, right? Like my solutions won't work for everybody, but will work for that specific subset. And I think the more you niche down, what's the phrase? The riches are in the niches. So the more you niche down, the better that you get at it. And I've been putting myself out there to talk about more men's issues. So I'm going to be doing lives on TikTok on Sundays with Irish and UK men's advocates and people in the ADHD space, men in the ADHD space talking about that for Men's Mental Health Month and for November. And that's all I got.
Dave, that's good stuff all around. And I think I'm hearing, I don't think this room has come up with a consensus today. I think we've got answers on all sides that are pretty good here. So, Eric, you heard the subject. Nice to see you, my friend. Of course, nice to see you, Dave, as well. Eric, what do you got on the subject?
Good morning, guys. It's been a while because I've been trying to figure the whole thing out. I don't know. Somebody the other day called me a deconstructionist, but I've kind of given up the whole niche thing. It's like, why am I looking outward versus just speaking louder? And what I'm beginning to see or figure out is the more and I hate the word become authentic, but the more I speak from my needs, wants, desires, and pains, the larger my audience grows. Because everybody's like, thank God somebody finally said it, versus marketed it to me or tried to hook me into it. So that idea of niches and things, it's like, no, I'm not going to try and fit in over there. I'm just going to make sure that I'm clear so other people can find me. Close out there.
I like that, Eric. I think it's, I mean, not dissimilar to kind of what I was saying, right? Is it's sort of like be clear and be specific about who you are, the problem you solve, and who you solve it for. But like, don't put yourself in a box. Don't let other people put you in a box that is limiting in who you can help and how you can help them, right? And I think a lot of people do that to themselves because they think that they have to be this sort of hyper niche, hyper specific, ultra specific sort of niche or clientele or solution. And I don't think that's always the case, right? So like, be clear, but like, don't put yourself in a box, right? Be open to opportunities. Because I think that's the other thing that can come out of being overly niche down, right? But what do you think, Dom? Is it time to put a bow on this thing?
Here's what time it is, Tom. I remember in the pandemic when we used to have like 2-hour shows. Here's how I used to sign out and lead it to you. I'm done. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. So, Tom, I got nothing left. Wrap it up if you would.
All right, here we go. I will do my best to wrap things up. So yeah, I mean, look, we've kind of been all over the shop today, but I'll just bring it back around to talking about niching down, and I'll complete the thought that I was just talking about there off of Eric's what Eric was saying, and that is this. I think it's really important that we always are open to saying yes to opportunity. And I think if you get too focused on being niche and niching down, then you will limit the opportunities that are available to you, and you can ultimately end up doing harm to your business and to your ability to help other people, to serve your community, because you're too focused on limiting what you do, right? Rather than making the biggest impact you can make, right? Or the most positive impact you can make. And so I think that while it is important, incredibly important, obviously, to be specific about who you help, about how you help them, and about why you get up every day to do what you do, you should not allow yourself to create a set of limiting structures out of those things, right? So be specific, but don't be hyper niche, right? Except in some very limited applications, I can see how that could work. But like generally speaking, being hyper niche is probably not the best route for most people. And so I think while there is benefit to being specific, I wouldn't paint myself into a box, right? Or put myself in a box. And I wouldn't encourage other people to do it either. Always be open to saying yes. I was on a call right before we got on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room with a guy who has grown an amazing company and served some huge companies, some huge businesses that we all know, and works with them to this day. 20 years later, still works with these huge brands because he said yes when someone offered him an opportunity, even though it wasn't exactly what he envisioned he would be doing with his life, right? He said yes, and it's led him down this amazing path. So that's my thoughts on niching down. I will leave it there. I think now I'm tired of hearing myself talk for once in my life, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. So I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank all of you for being with us in Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. We appreciate you. We love you guys. You guys are the reason why we do this. For Dom, I'm Tom. We're Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Coming soon to Indie Soup. Keep your eyes out there with Dr. Tachi. And until next Wednesday, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.